Hey everyone, Mitch coming in from not the Commander's Core studio. If you haven't seen my most recent episodes, just some life circumstances that are happening right now. I'm recording on the road, so if my audio is still a little off, my apologies. Regardless, that should not take away from this incredible Omega level commander, a very threatening commander with Sauron the Dark Lord. A 7/6 avatar that costs 3 blue, black, red. Ward. Sacrifice a legendary artifact or legendary creature. So a massive ward cost for opponents who actually even try to target this. And on top of that, whenever an opponent casts a spell, amass Oryx 1. And then whenever an army you control deals common damage to a player, the ring tempts you. And when that ring tempts you, because that's not enough, you may discard your hand. If you do, draw 4 cards. So a little bit of a mini wheel for you there when your army is able to get through. Now, there are a lot of different directions that you can take this very powerful commander that is really hard to deal with. The one that I am taking it, though, is really taking advantage of your opponent's casting spells, because when they do, again, you amass Oryx 1. Now, amass is kind of an interesting mechanic. Again, you make an army if you don't already have one, and then it gets a counter on it. Cool. That being said, yeah, if you keep getting more and more amass, that army just gets bigger. And it doesn't go wide, you know, it just goes tall. It gets more and more counters on it. But, well, we maybe have some ways to ensure that we only have a very, very small army every single time. So every single time our opponents cast spells, we get a new creature token, which maybe we can, I don't know, sacrifice for value, sacrifice to hurt our opponent, sacrifice for a multitude of reasons. So yeah, our opponent's spells are going to be used against them with this fantastic commander. And again, if we need to draw some cards, sure, just get an army through, draw some cards, and yeah, have fun with it. This commander, although it is decently expensive, again, at around $17 or $18, it's still a very budget-friendly deck, with the price from Moxfield being $42.36, the estimated cost. Every single other card in this deck is less than $1, so again, very budget-friendly, even though we've got a pretty expensive commander. Keep in mind that estimated cost does not include the cost of basic lands, which might vary. Well, if you get them, you know, from a store, if you get them maybe from your friends, they can be free. If you already have them, if you know, maybe just borrow some from someone else, there you go. Also keep in mind that the cost of shipping might vary depending upon where you live. Regardless, if you are interested in this commander, make sure you check out that deck list link in the description below. Now with all that said, let's jump into the tactics. Let's start things off with tactic number 1, Darkness Approaches. And first up, there's Wayfarer's Bauble. Pay 2 tap, sacrifice, go get a basic land into play, tap. Fantastic land ramp for any color combination. Moving on, Arcane Signet. Fantastic mana rock for any color. Basically, cost 2, taps for any color. Of course, we've got a lot of really efficient mana rocks that we've got access to, though. Demir's Signet, as well as our other signets as well. Each one you pay 1 into, and they tap for their guild's colors. Next up, we got Felwar Stone. This can tap for 1 mana of any color opponent controls. And, yeah, you know what? We can basically usually just tap for 5 colors with this. Next up, a very interesting one, Helm of Awakening. This one costs 2, and it says spells cost 1 less cast. Now, note that this does not just affect our own spells, which is great, right? We can cast more and more spells, but our opponent's spells as well. And again, them casting more spells is actually a good thing for us, because then we can keep amassing again and again and again. So look, we're helping everyone. Like I mentioned earlier, we're going to be running the rest of the signets. So we've got Izzet, which taps for blue and red, and Rakdos, which taps for black and red. On top of those signets, we also have the Talismans. Talisman of Creativity is a great one. Can tap for a colorless, or we can tap for one of our 2 colors, in this case, blue-red. It's going to deal 1 damage to us, but again, we start off at 40 life. That is completely fine. So we're also running Dominance, which is the exact same thing, but it costs the exact same amount, and it does tap for blue and black. So slight difference there. Next up, Burnished Heart. Cost 3, pay 3, sacrifice it, go get 2 basic lands, get them on the battlefield tapped. So basically, again, more land ramp, but this time coming from a creature, which again can be huge because we've got plenty of ways to benefit from creatures hitting the graveyard. And when it comes to benefiting like that, we've got Solemn Simulacrum. This benefits on the way in and the way out. ETBs, go get that basic land into play tapped. When it dies, draw a card in. Yeah, we've got plenty of ways to ensure that sad robot is going to die so we can draw that card. So let's move on to tactic number 2, keep it fresh, because again, Like I mentioned, we've got plenty of ways to sacrifice our creatures because we want to ensure that we can keep our army fresh by taking them away. Because again, every single time our opponents cast a spell, we want a brand new token. We do not want to go tall with our army. We want to keep it small and make more and more tokens. So yeah, a great sacrifice out like Barrage of Expendables can be great. Pay a single red mana, sacrifice a creature, 1 damage to a creature or player. This damage can add up a lot throughout the game, and again, more importantly, it can refresh our army by taking it out. Moving on, Viserys Seer, an incredible one, a free sacrifice outlet, sacrifice a creature, scry 1, so some great card selection there. And again, since it's free, we are never going to be stuck with a big army. We're going to be able to sacrifice them for value and then just get more and more and more as our opponents cast spells. So we're also going to be running makeshift munitions. This one a little more flexible. Pay 1, sacrifice an artifact or creature, 1 damage to any target. So again, like Barrage, yeah, a great way to deal extra damage out there. Then we've got Woe Strider, basically a bigger version of a Seer, 3 mana. Again, when it enters the battlefield, you get a 0/1 goat. That's nice. More creature tokens is never a bad thing. Scry 1 by sacrificing those creatures. On top of that, you can get this back from your graveyard, and it can get slightly bigger. What's not to love? Speaking of what's not to love, Dimir Houseguard, a fantastic card in many situations. 2/3 Fear, sacrifice a creature, regenerate it. So a free sacrifice outlet that can be really hard to deal with. On top of that, this is in our hand and we need something else, transmute it away to go get any card in our library that costs 4. And that might be Immerstrom Predator. A fantastic card, 3/3 flying vampire dragon. When it becomes tapped, we exile up to 1 target card from a graveyard and get a counter on this, so some great graveyard hate for us. Also, this can become a pretty heavy hitter in no time. On top of that, sacrifice another creature. This is going to gain indestructible until end of turn, tap it. So again, a free sacrifice outlet that can be really hard to deal with. Then finally, when it comes to free, we also gain from this as well a Thermopod, a 4/3 slug that has sacrifice a creature, add red to your mana pool. So a great, again, free sacrifice outlet to really take advantage of our opponents casting spells. Essentially, this is like, hey, whenever your opponents cast a spell, you can make a red mana if you want. So there you go. Casting instants out of nowhere can be fantastic with this deck. Moving on, we are not done with sacrificing just yet. Nowhere near done, in fact. So we also have tactic number 3, life insurance, because we're going to get some value out of those creatures we're sacrificing, including those amass army tokens. So Vampiric Rites is a great one, a low to the ground enchantment, pay 1 a black, sacrifice creature, gain 1 life, draw a card. This is now just a way to say, hey opponents, are you casting spells? Cool, I'm drawing cards and gaining life thanks to you. So then we've got Culling Dice. This one is a bit slower, but still great. Tap, sacrifice a creature, get a charge counter on it, pay 1, sacrifice it, draw a card for each of those charge counters. So over time, this can build up a ton for us. Next up, Transmogrant's Crown, a great card. Equip creatures +2/+0. Whenever equip creature dies, draw a card. Equip is either 2 or a black mana. So yeah, keep equipping this to our orc army that we're going to sacrifice to draw a card, to then equip it again, to sacrifice, then to draw a card. You see a pattern here. Next up, we've got a Yar, First of Locthwain, a great card as well. Can help us out in many situations. 2/3 Elf Noble. Whenever it or another black creature is battlefield under control, each opponent loses 1 life, you gain 1 life. Here's the thing. Yeah, that army is a black creature token. So there you go. ETBs drains our opponents. So every single time an opponent casts a spell, all of our opponents get drained. On top of that, tap, sacrifice another black creature, draw a card. So again, we can sacrifice those orcs to ensure that we are keeping our hand flush. Next up, we've got Kel's Fight Fixer, 4/3 Menace. Whenever you sacrifice a creature, you can pay Dimir. If you do, draw a card. Yeah, that is going to be paid quite a bit throughout the game with this deck. On top of that, pay 1, sacrifice a creature, gains indestructible until end of turn. So yet another great repeatable sacrifice outlet that is really hard to deal with. And yeah, one that gives you a lot of card advantage. Finally, one that gives you free card advantage, Smothering Abomination. When this is in play, this can give us so much value. 4/3 flyer, upkeep, sacrifice a creature. Whenever sacrifice a creature, draw a card. Again, we've got so many ways to sacrifice creatures. Great, let's draw. And again, that upkeep trigger is not a downside. It's actually an upside for us to be able to sacrifice a creature, to be able to draw more and more cards, get even more value out of them. Now, you might think we're done with card advantage, but we're not quite done just yet. So attack number 4, Hard Truths, can help us out a lot. Corrupted Conviction, a great card. 1 mana, sacrifice a creature, draw 2. Yeah, again, like I mentioned, we are going to be flush with creatures to sacrifice with this deck. Every single time opponents cast spells, we're going to be making a creature token. Let's do that. Let's sacrifice creature. Let's draw some cards again for just 1 mana. So we also have Village Rites, basically the exact same thing. Again, instant speed. Sign in Blood. 2 mana, target player draws 2, loses 2, so end of game we can take out a player with this if we need to, or hey, let's just draw some cards, or we can go for 3 mana, Painful Truths. Hey, pay 1 mana of each of our colors, draw 3, lose 3, well worth it in Commander to lose 3 life for 3 cards. Then there's Read the Bones, scry 2, draw 2, lose 2 for 3 mana, so much value there. And finally, Factor Fiction, a just great card when it comes to getting cards off the top of our library into our hand, make an opponent separate in the piles, pick one of them, one into your hand, one into your graveyard. Now, as good as all these cards are in this deck, there is one in my opinion that stands above the rest, and that is the Golden Pig, which is Golem Patient Plotter, a 3/1 halfling that costs 1 in a black, and it says whenever it leaves the battlefield, the ring tempts you. On top of that, pay a black, sacrifice a creature, return Golem from your graveyard to your hand, activate almost a sorcery. So this is a very interesting card that helps out in a lot of ways. First up, this is a creature that we want to leave the battlefield. We want to get this in play, and we want to sacrifice it. We want to take it out. We want it to go away, because when it does, the ring tempts us. And again, with our commander, when the ring tempts us, we can discard our hand to draw 4, which can be huge to replace dead cards in our hand with hopefully more valuable cards. On top of that, this is a sacrifice outlet for us as well. Again, paying a black, sacrificing a creature, getting rid of that army token to bring this back, to bring it back into play, to then, probably sacrifice it again, have it leave the battlefield again, draw even more cards. Golem Patient Plotter, you're a fantastic card in this deck, and in my opinion, definitely worthy of the title of Golden Pig. But let's move on to tactic number 6, Pain Train, because, we're not just going to be drawing cards by sacrificing our creatures, we're going to be punishing our opponents. For an Executioner Thane, a 2/2 Phyrexian Vampire, whenever one or more other creatures you control die, each opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. This only triggers only once each turn, but still, again, with our sacrifice outlets, let's say we have a free one in play, sacrifice that Orc army, go to your opponent's turn, they probably cast a spell, make another one, sacrifice that one, drain your opponents. With each trip around the table, you've got the potential to drain your opponents by 8 life each. 8 life each, just for them casting spells, and you sacrificing those creatures, you gaining 8 life as well. This can add up a lot throughout the game. Speaking of which, Zulport Cutthroat, whenever another creature control dies, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. A fantastic, great, repeatable way to drain your opponents, and a great way to finish them off too. This has no restriction on triggering only once each turn, so sacrifice your army, sacrifice your creatures, drain your opponents out. Next up, Hissing Iguanar. Whenever the creature dies, you may have this ping a player or planeswalkers. This is going to take out planeswalkers. This can also just hyper target a player's face to take them out. Moving on, Spiteful Prankster. As long as it's your turn as first strike, that's nice. More importantly though, whenever the creature dies, 1 damage target player or planeswalker. Again, just like Hissing Iguanar, a great way to ping someone down. Then there's Falkenrath Noble. Again, hyper targeting a player can be great. Whenever it or the creature dies, target player loses 1 life, you gain 1 life. Basically, Blood Artist essentially. Let's drain a player, let's take them out. Next up, Garna. We've got a little bit of a choice with this one. Whenever a creature control dies, draw a card if it was attacking. Otherwise, Garna is going to deal 1 damage to each opponent. That can add up a lot of damage can be dealt with this. Or again, if we want to wait, if we want to swing with it, if we want to sacrifice it, then hey, cool, let's draw that card. So very flexible for us. Moving on, Mirkwood Bats, an incredible way to drain our opponents so quickly. Whenever you create or sacrifice a token, each opponent loses 1 life. Once we're set up properly with that free sacrifice out, this is basically, hey, if an opponent casts a spell, they all lose 2 life. Because again, you make that army token, you sacrifice it. Cool, cast another spell. See what happens. See what happens. Next up, Outpost Siege, very flexible. Hey, cons or dragons. When ETBs, you choose one or the other, depending on what you need. Cons, beginning of your upkeep, exile top card of your library. Basically, Impulse Draw. Dragons, whenever a creature control leaves the battlefield, 1 damage to any target. You can take anything out with this, including, again, your opponent's faces. Then we've got Sanguinary Priest, life-linking, 2/4. Whenever their creature you control dies, 1 damage to any target. So again, a way to take down creatures, take down planeswalkers, take down battles, take down your opponent's faces, whatever you need to do. Then there's Vindictive Vampire, yet another way to punish our opponents. We have so many ways to do so. 2/3 Vampire, whenever a creature you control dies, 1 damage to each opponent, and you gain 1 life. A great way to spread out the damage, just like Zulport Cutthroat. And then finally, a big way to do so, Rage Thrower. Whenever another creature dies, 2 damage target player. This doesn't just count your creatures, any creature on the battlefield. But basically at a certain point, hey, anytime anyone casts a spell, any of your opponents cast a spell, you get that sacrifice outlet out there, make a creature token, sacrifice, ping someone in the face for 2. Just shock damage every single time to whoever you want to take down with this Rage Thrower. But now let's move on to tactic number 7, Hurts So Good. We're going to start things off with Dread Horde Invasion. Yeah, we can even get even more armies with this. At the beginning of your upkeep, you lose 1 life and amass 1. This one's going to make a zombie army. That's okay. I mean, the way that works is essentially just becomes a zombie orc army, whatever it is if they're combining. We don't actually have to have them combined, though, because, hey, again, if we're set up properly, if we've got that sacrifice outlet, we can just, again, get this token, sacrifice it for value to drain our opponents, to punish them, to draw a card, whatever we need to do, great. Do so and do that. Next up, Jury Master of the Review. Hey, whenever you sacrifice a permanent, this gets a counter. This gets so large so quickly again. If you're set up properly, every single time an opponent gets a spell, this gets a counter. And then when this dies, just fireball damage. It deals damage equal to its power to any target, so have fun just smacking someone for a ton of damage. It's gonna be a great way to just have this on the battlefield as kind of just a one-shot KO for someone. Next up, Woody Roastmaster. We can also punish our opponents when our creatures are coming into play. Creature on his battlefield, 1 damage to each opponent. So again, every single time a player casts a spell that's not us, hey, you're all going to be taking 1 as long as we've got our sacrifice outlets ready. There's Deathbringer Thoktar, a 3/3. Whenever the creature dies, you can put a counter on this, remove a counter from it, 1 damage to our creature or player. This one is very interesting because, well, we can actually utilize this as a pseudo sacrifice outlet if we need to. Yeah, you can take those counters off, you can ping down our own army to take it out to ensure that, hey, we get those triggers that we need and we can create more and more and more. Next up, Warstorm Surge. Whenever a creature in his battlefield under control, it deals damage equal to its power to any target. Even if it's just 1 damage again and again and again coming with those armies, that can add up a ton throughout the game. And speaking of massive damage though, Orca's got something to say about that 5/5 trample. Whenever a creature dies, you get a counter on this. That counts your opponent's creatures as well. And this is going to get huge. And then, yeah, when that happens, hey, giant fireball damage. When this dies, it deals damage equal to its power divided as you choose among any number of targets. Take out multiple opponents with this. Yeah, gross. But now let's move on to tactic number 8, Stay a While, because, yeah, I mean, again, our opponents might pay that cost. They might pay that ward cost to actually target our commander. When they do, we're not going to like that. So you know what we can do? Just ruin their plans. They just got rid of one of their things, and we're going to make them pay for it. Dispel, counter-target instant spell, good luck. Next up, Negate. Even more flexible, counter any non-creature spell. Again, the vast majority of spells that we actually really care about countering are going to be those non-creature spells. So we're also going to be running, well, Mystic Confluence. This one counter basically anything. Choose 3. You can choose the same mode more than once. Counter target spells controller pays 3. So yeah, if I can't pay that 3, just choose this mode once. You need to do more, you can. Bounce a creature back to its owner's hand if you need to, or draw a card. Very flexible, very efficient card that can help us out in a ton of situations. Then finally, Swiftfoot Boots, Hexproof, and Haste. Now, your opponents can't even target if they want to. Even if they had something to sacrifice to actually target your commander, they can't. Swing right with your commander too. That's absolutely lovely with these. But now that we've talked about, well, ways to protect our own things, let's talk about ways to throw a wrench into our opponent's plans. Feed the Swarm is a great one to destroy a creature or enchantment opponent controls. We lose some life, that's okay, but yeah, we got rid of what was important. Next up, Rakdos Charm, very flexible. Choose 1, exile cards from target player's graveyard, a great artifact hate card as well. On top of that, each creature does 1 damage to its controller. This can really punish people that are playing, go wide strategies, token strategies. You can really take them out with this. Next up, Bedevil. Destroy a target creature, artifact, or planeswalker, depending on what you need to do. This is very flexible. Speaking of flexible, Chaos Warp, get rid of anything, absolutely anything. Shuffle a permanent into its owner's library. They get something random off the top, maybe. Cool. Yeah, just basically get rid of essentially anything. Next up, Mandate of Abaddon. This one is huge. 2-star creature control, destroy all creatures with power less than that creature's power. So our commander, again, 7 power. That's going to be one of the big boys on the battlefield. We take out pretty much everything else, and yeah, this can be a very one-sided board wipe for us. Next up, Phyrexian Scriptures. Again, potentially one-sided board wipe. When this comes into play, we get a counter up to 1 target creature. Creature comes an artifact and just other types. The second one is destroy all non-artifact creatures. So again, our commander will be an artifact and we'll be fine. The third one, get rid of opponent's graveyards. Again, great graveyard hate, works well against reanimator strategies. Then we've got Aether Gale, 5 mana, bounce 6 things. What's not to love? Oh, gross. Yeah, Butcher of Malakir. Whenever another creature you control dies, each one sacrifice a creature. Basically, this is, hey, if an opponent casts a spell, once you're set up properly, if you've got a sacrifice outlet in play, if an opponent casts any spell, that is an edict effect for all of them. All of your opponents have to sacrifice something because you're going to get that army, you're going to sacrifice it, they're going to have to sacrifice creatures as well. Next up, Necromantic Selection. Destroy all creatures and return a creature from the graveyard. That's going to be Sauron. We're just going to destroy all creatures, bring Sauron right back, reset things, and keep our commander going. And when it comes to a one-sided board wipe, yeah, Ingarrick's Wake is fantastic. Destroy all creatures you don't control and all planeswalkers you don't control. So yeah, wipe things out, get your commander through, and just, yeah, take out your opponent's things. Finally, though, let's talk about some great lands in this deck that I want to highlight, starting with Access Tunnel. Can tap for 8 colors, or we can pay 3 and tap, and target creature power 3 or less can't be blocked this turn. Again, we want to keep our army small. We want our army just to have 1 power, essentially. And yeah, if we need to draw some cards, just get through on an opponent with this. Very easy, very effective, and again, only takes up a land slot. So we're also going to be running Rogue's Passage. Basically, 1 more mana, any creature can be unblockable. So yeah, this can even get our commander through. And yeah, that can be a win con for us. Essentially, hey, you know what? We've got a commander that can be a 3-shot KO. Get it through 3 times, take your opponents out. A fantastic addition. Again, it's just a land. So yeah, definitely an Omega level commander. Sauron can do some gross things. Again, there's a lot of different kinds of decks that you can build with this one. You can focus on armies, you can focus on getting creatures through, you can focus on even changelings. The way I took it, though, is let's punish our opponents from actually casting spells. When they cast spells, we are going to get an extra creature, we're going to sacrifice it, we're going to drain our opponents, we're going to punish our opponents, we're going to make our opponents be in so much pain that they get taken out, and of course, we're going to get all the value from that as well. So yeah, really cool commander. If you are interested in this deck, make sure you check out that deck list link in the description below. And of course, as always, well, thanks again, and have a good one. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. We also have a ton of brand new t-shirt designs in stock, so make sure you check out those as well. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG Player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support.